Association is an organisation that supports individual organisations that are members of theirs, and all a development trust tries to do is to work for a local community. So it's started by members of the local community for the benefit, and that depends on what that community identify as their greatest need. So if it's economic development, if it's like creating jobs and getting small businesses going, that might be the thing that brings people together in one area. In another area, it might be youth facilities, it might be facilities for older people, all sorts of things that will bring a community together to try and make a difference for themselves. So a development trust does actually need a lot of support from the community that's going to be benefiting. So to get people more involved and to talk more about the things that are relevant for them, that they want to see change, that's something that the group of people, there's about 40 people that are meeting on a monthly basis at the moment, and they meet either at the Host Media Centre or they've met at Space at Hillcrest. It's local people that know more about their area than anybody else, and to kind of make a, you know, draw a line in the sand and say no more will people now be coming in and doing things to a community and then going away and leaving them to it. It's a matter of getting people in that local community to say, right, what is it that we want to do? What is it that's going to make it better to live here and work here? Decide what it is and get on and do it. So really it's about hopefully bringing people together, getting community back again for Chapeltown and getting everybody involved and seeing the benefit.
I'm also involved with the Development Trust, and I'm a resident in Chapeltown. I live on Calvert Street. And I wanted to say something. You're right, we can't kill the music. And I do applaud this organization because this is, we know, this is what we need. We need young people coming forward, and we need to listen more effectively to them as far as what they're doing and what their aspirations, what their aims are. And it's only collective that we can do that. But we all know that, don't we? We really do. There's a lot that we hear about in terms of this community as far as plans, and there's many organizations, and it's wonderful because the problem is we don't know about each other sometimes. And some things that Kath is going to hopefully tell you about a little later on as far as just little things we're going to do to hopefully improve communications. We all know some of the issues about Chapeltown, and I'm one of these people, you're never going to hear me talking about all the negative things. You're going to also talk about the positive things that are going on, because we know they're here, the negative things. But the negative things also are awakening for us. Only a few days ago in this community there was a shooting. A young man was shot. And before, I don't think anything in the news about it, but the entire community knows about it. I'm thinking if the communities, that network can understand and get that message out that something negative happens, people can work a little easier and with little less effort to promote this organization and the positive things that are happening. And that's what it's about, because it's not all bad in Chapeltown. I've only lived here for, you can tell by my accent, by the way, I'm not from Yorkshire. And if you guess Lancashire, you'd know. But I lived here for 10 years, and my family has been here, my wife's family, for well over 40 years. And even in a short term, I've seen within Chapeltown, within just that little area you have artists, you have people that have written plays that have been downtown at the Playhouse. You have, although it's an illegal radio station to call it, the Chapeltown People's FM, but boy is it a resource and an uplifting to people in this community. So we need to work with people like that are on the fringe as well to make it legal. Because there's no point if we recognize there's a community need and a benefit being served. So I just say join us. Join the Community Network Residents Association Impact. Join and learn more about the Invisible Circle. Tell someone, bring someone. Because if we don't do that, we're going to be, my thing that I live by is if we continue to do the same old thing, the same old way, we're going to get the same old results. So don't expect anything different unless we're willing to walk out of this room and do something, to sign up for something, to understand something, to go to the next meeting. So that's what I encourage you to do. Thank you.
I've lived in Chapeltown for about 15 years, and some time ago we heard that the community centre was going to be, well, we heard it needed refurbishment. Then we formed a group to try and get the community centre refurbed and back on track because it was losing energy and all kinds of bad shit was going on around it, really. Before we could really get our act together, it was closed. And then before we really knew what was happening, it got knocked down. At the time it was closed, I was part of a group called Chapeltown Community Centre Action Group. That was formed then with the aim of rebuilding, recreating a community centre in Chapeltown, a place that was non-partisan, that was, you know, anybody could go there. It's not attached to a church or a place of worship, it's not attached to a particular community, it's for everybody. So we recently changed our name and tried to refocus what we were doing. And the project that we've come up with is a notice boards project, because what is missing, although it is partly filmed by People's FM, what is missing is communication between local people, particularly of different communities and different groups. So this notice boards project that we've come up with, we've got funding, and in fact the first one is already up. We're putting 12 or 13 notice boards all around the area. There'll be hopefully one on the media centre, there's one at Archway already, hopefully one on the Cuba Mosque on Shepherd's Lane, one outside Cantors. They'll be all over. And each one is going to be looked after by a notice board guardian, which could be an individual or a group. So if you want to put up any kind of notice, or you have thoughts about the area and you just want to say them, whatever, go to the notice board you have in mind, see who it is that's going to put the notice up, and it's easy, it's free, you just give me a notice and it goes up. The idea is that even long after our group has disappeared, these notice boards are going to be available for everybody to use. The community owns them, the community is responsible for them. Since losing the community centre, it became apparent to me that we are, as a community, really segregated in lots of different ways, by age, by education, by religion, by ethnicity, all sorts of ways that we're segregated. And we're not working together to make the place better. And I've come across development trusts in other places, and what they do is they own assets. They own, say, a building or a shop or something, and they rent it out and they get money back. And nobody is profiting from this apart from the community. The money is coming back from the rentals or whatever. And then after a few years, they have more money and they can spend it on things that are good for the community. They can spend it on adult education. They can spend it on room hire that's cheap or free even for community groups. They can spend it on making a social place, a club or something. In Headingley, they've spent it on creating a farmer's market. In Headingley, the community has decided to take over the local whole food shop. So there are all kinds of things that can happen. They can promote new business, they can promote food security, childcare, luncheon clubs. The idea is that the money that is paid by people in this area, instead of going to landlords outside the area, or instead of going to shops outside the area, it goes into the Community Development Trust. And that then redistributes the wealth locally. So our money stays within our local area, and it goes to make the community stronger rather than leaving.